Welcome to the November 16th, 2021 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, Vize the Bold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
And I was not married this week.
It's true, he wasn't. I wasn't there.
Thank God. But yeah, so we had a week of a lot of announcements and that kind of stuff. A lot of NFT weirdness going on. And some pretty crazy, like, nostalgia kind of stuff. So I'm just gonna hit it right off the top here. Marvel, or Disney, I guess, if you want to say it, announced, like, a whole bunch of content for Disney Plus, like, a lot. Like, a lot. And one of the, probably the one that was the most interesting, and shocking, is that they are coming up with a show called X-Men 97. Which
it's apparently a follow-up to X-Men from 97.
Yeah, from when we were growing up.
With as many of the original voice actors as are possible to get, too.
Yeah, it's really... And they're doing it with, like, a same, like, Jim Lee-inspired art style from that era, with all the same colors and...
Yeah.
Like, lots of yellow and pink.
Now, what interests me in particular, by the way, is that, like, I mean, I have no way of knowing for sure, but I'm wondering if this is going to be like when Samurai Jack finally came back. It's not the 90s. We don't need Wolverine to exclusively fight robots, or if it's a human, then throw them. They might be able to actually do something this time.
Well, Samurai Jack was really cool because they had realized their audience had grown up, so what they did was they brought it to Adult Swim, and it also was more adult in tone.
Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm looking for Wolverine to, like, make a gore fest, because that's, like, immature in the other direction, but, like, you don't have to just shoulder throw a guy when you're Wolverine.
Well, the show, one of the things that was really good about this era was that a lot of the so-called, like, children's cartoons had a lot of adult themes to begin with.
They did.
Like, you had, like, X-Men and Batman the Animated Series came out around this time. And Batman the Animated Series really did not talk down to its audience, and neither did X-Men. X-Men was really good about it. It had a lot of like I think we mentioned this earlier. Like one of the X-Men dies in the first episode.
Yeah, the new character you've never heard of, so they could get away with it.
Yeah, but like. Still, it was a cartoon show where a character died.
Yeah.
And also it set the tone for the rest of the series because Wolverine actually has, like, trauma from that character dying. And expresses
he has a reason to be, like, Mr. Grumbly Man all the time.
Yeah, and it's really interesting that they did that because you don't expect that kind of thing from a TV show, a children's TV show. So yeah, it was a great show. I mean, it got that last season's bad.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that, and I was like, okay, it's gonna be less good, but no, it's pretty bad.
Just bad. No, I believe me, I give a chance to a lot of stuff, especially when people dogpile on it. I'm like, let's give it a shot. And because, like, I don't believe fanboys' opinions. A lot of times I think they just parrot back, what YouTube says, what somebody on YouTube says. Like,
or literally do not know what they are talking about.
Yeah.
Like, it makes me think of, like, how come Star Trek is political now? It's like, do you know what Star Trek is? Same goes for X-Men. Are they going to bring politics into X-Men? Like, are you fucking kidding me? X-Men was about racism, and it was made in the mid-'60s. I think the early 60s.
I've been saying this for years on the internet. Like, you honestly think that like an entire genre of medium that was founded by liberal Jews in war era is not political? You are insane.
Yeah,
like the entire thing.
And X-Men in the Civil Rights era.
New York liberal Jews in the 30s and 40s. Like, you gotta be kidding me. Like every single, like everybody from that era, like Bill Finger, Stan Lee, Jack Kirby. They're all the big guys, But I think even Bob Kane. So like all the. The creators of Superman as well. What is it? Simon, Joe Simon, and there's one more other one. But anyway, yeah, like, what are you talking about? Like, these were political stories from the get-go, and were founded as such. In fact, a lot of them started as propaganda, like Captain America.
Yeah, Captain America is pretty obvious.
I mean, Superman's pretty much right there with him. If he wasn't propaganda to start with, he shortly became it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just think this is really cool. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with it, like in terms of continuity, because the TV show ends very abruptly and stupidly.
You know what irritated me quite a bit, actually, is the whole thing with X-Men is that, except for Wolverine, who's not actually a student, everyone else is at a school. It's Xavier's School for the Gifted, right?
Correct.
And the final episode...
They're all supposed to be teenagers at the beginning.
Yes. The final episode is called Graduation. And I was like, oh, that's clever. There is no graduation. Like, it's just called that because it's the last episode, I guess, but they don't do anything like that. There's no sense of conclusion. It's just kind of an episode.
Yeah, I mean, Professor Xavier gets basically leaves with the Shi'ar, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
It's I mean, you have to give it at least a little bit of credit in that, like, most children's TV shows do not get the opportunity to have a finale. So it did have a finale. There are very few that I can even just talk about. I famously talk about Mighty Max. Has a great ending. Like, one of the best.
Debatable. It is a conclusion and it's clever, but there also never, ironically, is a conclusion.
Well, I mean, but like nothing had ever done that before, that sure. Gag. Now it's showing up a lot, actually.
Yeah.
It's shown up a couple times in high profile things, but Mighty Max, to my knowledge, is the first one to do it, like, that I can think of.
Yeah, make that in canon.
Yeah.
This is a really weird thing for me to bring up, especially because I never really watched the show, but the Jumanji cartoon had a straight-up conclusive ending.
That's a good ending, too. Like,
it actually is, yeah.
And one that you've been, like, hoping for the entire time. They gave you what you wanted.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like, it retcons the Robin Williams movie. Like, that movie had an ending. The TV show just pretends that didn't happen, and he's still trapped in the game, but the show has a different ending, which is also good.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Men in Black cartoon show. The Men in Black cartoon show ignores the end of the movie of Men in Black and pretends like things just went on and they had more adventures.
Sure.
Jumanji's kind of like that, in like the premise of the beginning of the movie still stands, but instead of Robin Williams coming to the present, he stays in Jumanji and the kids get sucked into Jumanji.
Yeah, the entire premise of the game is very different. Because, Robin Williams in the movie was trapped in the game until somebody rolls a 5 or an 8, and then the other player just ran away, so he was stuck there for years. But in the cartoon, you always get sucked into the game. But when you solve whatever your little clue is, you get kicked back out and you can roll again. And Alan, the name of Robin Williams' character, his problem was he didn't catch what his clue was. So
he didn't read it.
Fucked.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out if there's a way around that.
Yeah, wasn't it like the tiger with the tiger and
the lion
paw?
with the thorn in its paw? Yeah, it's a very simple puzzle, but the problem is he always considered the lion to be its nemesis because it was always chasing him. I mean, fair enough, it's a lion in the jungle, but ironically, his answer was chasing him through the entire series.
What's pretty funny is The new Jumanji movies actually follow that premise closer.
Yeah, where you're in the game and see crazy jungle adventures.
Exactly. I never saw the second new one, but I liked the first one quite a bit, actually. I thought it was really funny, but completely different kind of movie.
Yeah.
For sure. But anyway, X-Men 97 is a wonderful concept. I mean, I'm gonna bring this up a little bit more in Corrective, but they're actually kind of doing something similar with Batman 89, but in comic book form. So I think it's pretty cool. I mean, we're used to them kind of doing pastiches of doing like, hey, this is done in the style of like Burt Ward, and Adam West Batman, but we're not used to them going, oh wait, no, we could do the same kind of thing where we imitate the style of the ones that people liked from from the 90s as well, and in the late 80s. So that's pretty cool. The other shows are Echo, which is supposed to be related to Hawkeye. I know nothing about that character. I can't really comment. I doubt you know anything about Echo.
Yeah, nope.
I am a big comic book fan. I have no idea who Echo is. I guess I should say I'm a big comic book fan from the early 2000s, and
there you go.
Most of the comics that I read stem from that or Batman.
And that's a lot of where the Marvel movies come from, because people a little older than us are like, I'm going to make movies based on what I liked, and it's all 90s, 2000s stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that was my big
which is why we still have fucking Peter Parker, even though Tom Holland's movies have that friend from the Miles Morales stories.
Yeah. And so, Spider-Man freshman year, speaking of Peter Parker, which is a good concept. I think that's going to be a new Spider-Man cartoon. Spider-Man belongs in a cartoon. I think Spider-Man having a Monster of the Week just makes freaking sense. I like having
superpowered bank robber of the week.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, having him be in movies is great and all, but like he really shines when he has to foil the Sinister Six.
And speaking of being obsessed with the 90s, we got to bring back the voice actor from 90s animated Spider-Man, because when that good. Guy goes, he goes hard.
Yeah, what we don't need is
do you remember his like really angry scenes? Because
no.
Fucking I gotta link you that. There's this one clip where I don't remember what led to it, but like he has the black Venom suit on. It's like it's just pre-Venom, so it's like enhanced angry emotion Spider-Man. I don't remember what brought this on, but he is just gonna fucking kill the Shocker or something. And like the whole clip, because I don't remember the episode, I just only saw the clip on YouTube, where Shocker's just running away the entire time. Like he doesn't even have any lines. He's just like, oh fuck this, and Spider-Man's just going like, Shocker! You're like, oh fuck. And like Shocker's just climbing a ladder going into some clock tower. It's like, oh, I gotta get out of here. Like I have no idea what the context is for that scene, even though I've seen the whole series, but like you are scared for the Shocker.
Well, I really enjoyed that show when I was watching it, but even back then I recognized like how much they reused animation, especially later on, and
especially when they're little quick cuts. I remember seeing Scorpion lunge at Parker and like
anytime he had like the spidey sense.
My god! Yeah. No, but no, there's one particular part where the Scorpion is lunging at him, and they're in some building, but they just for a second when he tail whips, it's like a half a second, so you can easily miss it. They used a clip from an earlier episode where, like, if you look closely at the background, he's like obviously in a sewer or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Come on.
yeah. It got pretty bad. I mean, even as a kid, you notice that.
Yeah, you
stuff.
might catch these things. Yeah.
I certainly did. But anyway, moving on from that, what other ones do we have here? You have Agatha, House of Harkness. So I actually really am looking forward to this one.
This was the villain of that
WandaVision, and it was played by Kathryn Hahn, and she did an amazing job as the character. And
I've only ever seen her from the memes, but she has like the quintessential like smile and wink, like, haha, you see that face? It's perfect.
No, she definitely has that like evil shithead shit eating grin.
And her mouth opens like a little wider than other people's, like when she smiles or laughs. She's like, this is such a fucking weird reference to make, but like, do you know what I'm talking about? The main girl in Sleepaway Camp?
Oh,
she has like a fucking snake mouth that unhinges. Like, I get the like, her mouth opens a little wider, like ha 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 ha, and it really pushes that like shit-eating grin, like with Sparky. I got Sparky too, and he like, oh, you bitch. Like, she has the perfect face for it.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to that because she was a fantastic character, and also the writing team behind WandaVision is returning, and WandaVision was fantastic. I actually think that WandaVision might be like one of the top tier like Marvel things ever.
The premise is like,
it was really
utter genius, but I do remember hearing complaints about the nature of the payoff, not what it was, but how it was handled.
I don't
because I mean, Wanda's supposed to be the fucking like bad guy. Like, you realize like, wait, this is terrible, and she never really got punished for being like a reality manipulating monster. Like, Agatha's the villain, but Wanda's the villain.
I guess. I mean, she's being manipulated, so I don't know. But you know, yeah. That's very debatable. But anyway, I think that the show was one of the more daring things that Marvel's done.
Yeah, that's
Marvel's
experimental.
Yeah, Marvel's not known for being artistic. You know, they're made for they make very entertaining movies. And they're really fun roller coaster rides. Even the like lamest of them are pretty fun. So like, you know, you could just watch those. So, I haven't seen Eternals yet, so don't let me into that. But apparently, Eternals is awful. But
they should release like a half-hour long movie called The Ephemerals. Oh, it's over already? Well, that's strange.
And then the film burns at the end. But yeah. But anyway, I'm excited for this because the character's great, the actor is great, and the creative team is great, so I'm sure it will be really good. And
just the whole concept of doing like TV show styles over the decades, like that's so good.
Yeah, no, like I said, I believe that that series to be really, really good. That and yeah, I think that one's really, really good. Moving on from that, Marvel Zombies, a cartoon show. That has potential to be a lot of fun because the comics are a lot of fun. I'm not going to ruin
nasty as shit. Like, it's dark humor, but like, oof.
Yeah, very dark. And eventually, Ash from The Evil Dead joins them.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
But yeah, I think this works really well as a cartoon show. I don't know how violent they're going to allow it to get.
That's the thing. Like, the comics had like one or two moments that made me a little like, ugh.
Yeah, no, it's very. Part of the fun is like, oh god, kind of stuff. So, I think I'm not gonna ruin it for anybody because now this is like not okay to talk about. It was okay to talk before this was announced because
for the first run of Marvel Zombies is pretty something else.
It's one of my favorite concepts in comic book history. Like it's like I can't think of anything funnier or better.
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say the like
concept
funnier. I probably got nothing, but I do like the concept of that. Well, I've mentioned this before that like sometimes Marvel and DC do crossover events,
sure.
And I rather liked just as a concept Galactus versus Darkseid because they're not exactly equals in terms of what they do, but their power levels are up there.
Galactus is not necessarily evil either.
No,
whereas
but there was an issue
Darkseid
where he
is
showed
very
up to
clearly
Darkseid's,
evil.
Well, yeah, but there was an issue where Galactus showed up on Darkseid's planet Apocalypse, and he's like, "Guess this is the planet I'll be eating," and Darkseid's like, "No." So they start fighting, and then eventually Galactus's machine finishes charging. So like Darkseid was able to fight off Galactus, but not stop his process. And then he's like, "Well, sucks to be you, Darkseid," and he turns on his machine, and like nearly nothing happens. And it's like, why is nothing happening? And
It's like, there's no resources here.
Yeah,
It's
Darkseid's like,
apocalypse.
what is this thing supposed to do?
It's a burnout husk.
Yeah, it's like, how did you miss this when you got here? And Galactus is like, oh, sorry, and he just packs up his shit and leaves.
Apocalypse is the worst shit planet to ever be on. Like,
Yeah.
you never want to go there. The people are bad, the resources are bad, the environment's bad, everything's bad. It's hell. Like, it's planet hell.
And you have Ed Asner as Granny Goodness.
Which is also funny.
It's a clever idea, yeah.
I never wanted to get married because I like meat too much. Anyway, watch Freakazoid, kids. And She-Hulk TV show, which I've been looking forward to for a while.
That's
this
a
one's
clever idea, yeah.
This is going to be kind of what I like about shows like this. This is going to be a live action show.
Yeah.
What I like about shows like this is it's kind of like what they're doing with the Supergirl TV show, which is what they should be doing with Superman.
Speaking of which, by the way, Supergirl just finished.
Oh, did it hit its finale?
Yeah, series finale. Yeah, it was like...
Oh, series finale. Okay,
yeah, it was like the end of last week or like a couple days ago or something like that.
Okay, because I never watched it, but I like the because I don't want to get invested in the Arrowverse just because there's so much goddamn content.
Although I will say though, regarding Supergirl, like I've seen pieces of episodes and like it looks okay. Like maybe I could get invested, but I will say I've seen some clips with Superman and it is crazy that this is not what the DC movies have been doing with Superman.
That is exactly what I was trying to get at.
Yeah,
so
there's a part where he saves a kid from like a bad guy, and the kid's like, "Did that really just happen?" or whatever. And then Superman like winks at him. Like it's so Christopher Reeves, and like there you go. He's Boy Scout Superman.
DC's TV shows are good. DC's movies are questionable at best.
Yeah, wait until James Gunn gets involved.
Yeah, exactly. The Suicide Squad and Shazam are the best they have, which is
first Wonder Woman.
Okay, but still, like they.
Yeah, but when they decide to have fun, it's fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Like when I understand, like
they put too much pressure on themselves.
That's the thing. Like I understand. Like I'm sick of this saccharine crap. I'm gonna go darker. But like when every damn movie is a slog, it's just not pleasant.
No, the second Wonder Woman, I hate it more I think about it every time.
Yeah.
I watched it and I was like, that wasn't very good. And then I think about it a little bit more. I'm like, no, that was awful.
Yeah.
And like I tried to like it. It wasn't one of those things. It was like, no, that was straight up bad. It was a bad movie. Aquaman is all right.
Yeah,
it has its moments.
Aquaman was pretty good from what I saw of it, but it suffers from. I mean, there's no other way to do it, so I can't exactly fault it for this. But like everything has to be a green screen because you're not doing this shit in real life. So even though it's a pretty okay movie, just the entire time you're like, I'm watching a bunch of CG.
Yeah. I mean, there are ways that they could have done it. I mean, there are a lot of scenes in the movie that are a lot of fun. Like, I like anything involving the Black Manta. Towards the end, it kind of loses it because the Black Manta stuff is better.
I like the chase over the rooftops of the Black Manta's just firing shit at them.
Yeah, no, I like the submarine stuff. Like, all that stuff is good.
No. The Submariner is a Marvel character.
And one of the original. He's a timely character, actually. Along with the Human Torch and Captain... the original Human Torch, not the one you know.
Yeah.
And the one that's a robot. The one that is... from Marvel Comics
Herbie.
#1.
Herbie was the robot. It just gets worse and worse.
Yeah. But, interesting stuff. Either way, but what I was about to say is She-Hulk. They can do stuff that a Hulk movie can't because
She's a different character.
Well, what I'm trying to say is the Hulk movies can only do big things. Like, they can only do big, grandstanding things. They can't have, she has a court case, like, this episode.
Yeah, and she's not constantly being chased by the General.
Yeah. Well, She-Hulk was always a cool character because it just gave her confidence to be She-Hulk.
Yeah.
Which
I
was
remember
really
reading,
neat.
Well, I remember reading one of the comics where she was like trapped in the Hulk form, and she's like, "Why can't I get out of Hulk form?" And like eventually somebody realizes like
She just likes
it's
it.
because you want, yeah, like whether it's subconscious or not, you would rather be Hulk form. It's like, oh,
Yeah, no, she's just straight up She-Hulk for a good chunk of her existence in the Marvel universe, which is awesome. Like, and especially in a time when when there weren't many really positive female like superheroes. There was Wonder Woman. That was basically it. And even Wonder Woman, like her comics, her solo comics didn't get good until the last 20 years. I'm just gonna
old
straight up say
comics
it.
were like, "Ugh." I
They're-
still remember like one panel I saw, or maybe it was one page that I saw, which is like, yeah, I wonder when this comic was made, where like she was tied up somehow. Like I forgot, like there was something where like there was tape on her eyebrows or something weird. I forgot why the hell that was the case, and it's like I could take it off, but like. What was it like? My feminine something like prevents me from doing it because it'll fuck up my eyebrow. But she literally says my feminine like obsession or something like that. I can't do it because it'll make me look ugly. It's like, oh god, it really.
my commitment to my femininity or whatever.
It was my feminine something where it's like I wonder if a man wrote this.
Well, the funny thing is, like, that's the opposite of the intention of the character. The intention of the character was made by an extreme, like somebody who was an absolute feminist. Like back, he made the character to be a dominant woman, like because that's what he was into.
I might be confusing the original creator with the person who made a lot of the older comics, but didn't that person straight up have like a bondage fetish? Because that's like half of her fucking comic covers.
He did, but like he wanted the woman to be dominant. So therefore she was the one with the the lasso that made you speak the truth.
Sure, but she's also tied up in like.
No, she's tying them up. She's tying up the bad guys.
Look at the 40s cover. She's tied up in so many of them.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking about the 30s. I'm talking about the original creator. Like
I'll look into this, but I
back.
think I am too.
Well, he the creator had basically two wives, and he also like helped like develop the stenograph. Like he was a really interesting person, really interesting person, and was a feminist for the time. But anyway, so yeah. Anyway, She-Hulk is going to be interesting because she can have monsters of the week. She can have character development over time. Like all the things that like grandstanding movies prevent you from doing.
Also, while she can and has wrecked the city, that's not really her thing.
No, she tends to do things like investigate, and then beat the guy up at the end. But it's more like she's similar to Daredevil in some ways, except she's a strong.
Yeah, I
person.
forgot he's also a lawyer.
Yeah, she's a lawyer, and he's a lawyer. So, and they're both good guys.
This is such low-hanging fruit, but I somehow don't know the answer. Did they ever team up? They had to have.
I mean, everybody's teamed up.
Yeah, all right.
Even Batman and Spawn teamed up.
Yeah, I actually know about that.
And written by Frank Miller, of all people. But anyway, it's considered part of the the Dark Knight Returns universe. Anyway, there's going to be a Miss Marvel TV show, which is interesting.
This is Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel.
Yes, which is really funny because they could have gone with like a lot of different people could be Miss Marvel, including Carol Danvers, who is Captain Marvel.
Well, weren't like 3 or 4 of the Miss Marvels just all Carol Danvers?
Well, Captain Marvel is so complicated when you talk about Captain Marvel.
Well,
but
Captain Marvel, yeah, but Miss Marvel, like, there was her red costume, Carol Danvers, then there was, like, Warbird, which was still Carol Danvers, then there was, like, Binary, which was still Carol Danvers.
then there was also Monica Rambeau, who was a Captain Marvel at some point and may have been a Miss Marvel. I can't.
Okay, yeah, that I don't know about.
Yeah, she was in Secret Wars. That's probably one of the things she's most famous for. But anyway. But yeah, like Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel is very convoluted, but they basically the popular version of Captain Marvel now is Carol Danvers, which is a little bit of a shame because the original Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel, I should like I said,
Oh, that's Monica Rambeau. Okay.
Yeah.
She has that,
but she's also known as Photon.
Yeah, she has that like star-looking symbol.
Yeah, she's actually in the movie. The character is.
Okay.
But anyway, what I was going to say is the original premise of Captain Marvel being the alter ego of the guy who never gets to be the superhero, Rick Jones, who doesn't exist in the movies, which is really a shame. Because he's basically the linchpin, one of the linchpins of the entire Marvel universe in the comics. He's one of the most important characters.
Wait, was Rick Jones the guy who Swamp Thing's body was?
No, Swamp Thing is DC.
Jesus, okay.
Rick Jones is the inciting event of the Incredible Hulk. He is the kid who is out there.
Right,
okay. Who is out in the bomb blast's way.
Yeah, the guy that Bruce Banner saved, yeah.
Correct. But he then becomes the second Bucky, and then becomes, he is not Captain Marvel, but he switches, like, physical space with him, if that makes sense.
Okay.
He and Captain Marvel share a space on Earth together, and they switch place back and forth.
So it's almost like if Shazam and Billy Batson were, like, actually different people?
Two different people.
Yeah.
Correct. No, that is exactly what it is, because they are copies of each other.
Okay.
Shazam
Shazam was
Marvel.
Literally Captain Marvel. Yeah,
They are both Captain
The first
Marvel.
Captain Marvel was in the 30s. He was a DC character. I forgot about that.
Now, another thing that nobody seemed to be talking about on the internet was that both Captain Marvel movies came out in the same weekend. But nobody recognizes Shazam as Captain Marvel. So
I'm actually surprised that wasn't mentioned because, like,
nobody talked about it.
Even
like,
I had
I brought
known
it up a
about
couple
him
times
as Captain Marvel before I knew about him as Shazam, even though that's from the 30s and I have no business, like if I saw a comic book on the shelf, it would not say Captain Marvel on it. For some reason, I just associated that name.
Yeah, well, and all we need is Miracle Man being thrown in there, and then you have all of the copies.
Put Miracle Man in, and also for authenticity, have his movie or series or whatever not quite finish.
It's still not finished.
Yeah.
I think Gaiman is working on that, but he's also working on a lot of stuff. So
yeah, Gaiman's got a full play.
But anyway, this is really. But what was cool is Captain Marvel had a son, and he became the third Captain Marvel because the second Captain Marvel is Photon, Monica Rambeau. And then, that series is one of my favorite comic book series of all time. It's written by Peter David, the old author of the most famous run of the Incredible Hulk. So I lament the fact that they don't have that dynamic. Not that I don't believe Carol Danvers to be an awesome character. She is, and an iconic character. She absolutely is. It's just that we're missing out on, Rick Jones is a superhero, but he's not. And he feels... and that is a wonderful, thing to play with, is that you have a character that is very frustrated that he can't do... He cannot exact himself what he wants to do to save the world.
Yeah, but what if he were a less fucking terrifying version of Miracle Boy?
Yeah. And, the other part of it is just, am I even worth, being on the planet instead of, Captain Marvel? Captain Marvel can do way more good than I can do. Why should I even be on Earth? he has all kinds of psychological like quandaries because of the nature of his powers and how they work. I really suggest people like go back and look at that Peter David series, because he starts switching place with his son as well in that, and it's really, really interesting. I really, really liked it. But they don't really collect it, and it's really a shame. It's very underrated. But anyway, Miss Marvel is as you said, Kamala Khan.
Yeah, Kamala Khan, yeah. And she's a subversion of many comic book characters in that, like, you know, like a classic example, right? Spider-Man's, like, Peter Parker's regular life is difficult to deal with. He doesn't have a lot of money. He's got a stressful job. He's got to juggle real life stuff, like his boss, his girlfriend / wife, depending what time we are in the continuity. Sure. And he's got to stop crime, you know. But Kamala Khan's life is great. Her family's great. Her friends are great. And she's a superhero.
You know, a lot of being a superhero has to like have like some kind of trauma involved in it.
Not really with her. Like she's got villains, but like her life is fine otherwise.
That's kind of funny. Like even Superman has like like a past. Like a two-family kind of thing, or living, trying to live a normal life when he's not a normal person, kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
But like that's the central conflict of Superman. But like that's kind of funny.
Although it's sometimes used comically though, like I'd better miss my bus or train to show that like definitely not Superman.
And moving on from that, we have Moon Knight, which is kind of like a cult hit of a superhero. Like there are some really big Moon Knight fans out there, but I don't know much about the character other than he's basically Marvel's Batman.
I remember one panel I always saw, I was disappointed later when I realized, but there's this clip where he's walking down this mysterious, like, creepy set of stairs in, like, a castle or whatever. And he's like, Dracula, come out, you fucking nerd, you owe me money. And I always thought that was, like, the funniest picture, but it turns out it was fake. And I was like, oh! Calling Dracula a fucking nerd. I wish.
But Marvel Knights was a cool imprint, like a side imprint that Marvel had of characters that dealt with like more realistic situations. They were more real people than they weren't. So it consisted generally of like Moon Knight and Daredevil. Daredevil does have superpowers, but his problems are normal people problems usually. Like he'll fight crime and bad guys, but he does it, because of real world issues, like court cases that he has going on.
Yeah, Daredevil, like I don't know how much Daredevil really has in the way of straight up supervillains. Like I know Bullseye's a classic villain, but Bullseye's he's like Daredevil. He's a guy who works out and knows how to fight, and he's got like a weird quirk of a power. He's uncannily accurate when he throws things, and like Daredevil's uncannily accurate with like his hearing, but they're both guys who know how to fight. They're not straight up like fighting crazy monsters or anything. They're not. I mean, Daredevil has a enhanced disability is what basically
he has.
I remember one episode of the 90s Spider-Man cartoon where like Spider-Man didn't know who Daredevil was, and if you the viewer did not know who Daredevil was, like his entrance was really strong because he's with Spider-Man on a rooftop somewhere, and Spider-Man's looking out over where some goons are. He could see like one or two, and Daredevil's like, there's 4 of them. One of them seems to be out of breath. He's hiding behind something. And Spider-Man's like, what the fuck? Like, I have spider sense and I don't know this. Like, it was amazing.
Yeah, so Daredevil's adventures tend to be rooted in like just like real world like issues. Whereas, like, you have the Avengers who are dealing with cosmic level bullshit all the time. And then you also have the Punisher was part of that as well. So they're basically characters that are primarily in New York that deal with like thugs and the Kingpin and characters like that. So Moon Knight fits right into that. A lot of people really love that character. That are like really into comics, but I never had that connection. So, but I'm more than willing to get into it because I did like certain titles from that Marvel Knights line from back then.
Yeah, and by the way, speaking of bunch of superheroes in New York, going back for a second to Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, there was a fantastic comic issue where she's fighting the Shocker. And the Shocker has a really great line. I've probably mentioned this in the podcast before, but like there's this close-up of him doing the, like, he has both of his arms up like he's Little Mac who won a boxing match, and he goes like, "I am invincible in New Jersey." And it's like, it's really funny out of context, but even in context, the logic is kind of funny, because like all the superheroes in New York, like New Jersey has Kamala Khan, who's like a legit superhero, but Shocker's like, I could probably take you, and you're it anyway, so like whatever. Jersey's mine.
What's actually pretty funny is a lot of people don't realize this, but one of the most prominent comic book heroes is in New Jersey. Gotham City is technically in New Jersey.
Is that really?
Well, the location of Gotham City changes a lot.
Well, that was the thing. Like, Marvel uses real places, and DC has like Metro City, Gotham City, Metropolis.
And Keystone. There's like quite a few. Gotham City actually was not is the home of two superheroes from the Golden Age. Not just Batman, but also the original Green Lantern. Bet you didn't know that.
Yeah, the guy with the bandit mask.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, exactly. But Solomon Grundy is actually originally a Green Lantern villain, but now he's a Batman villain. But anyway,
I think the first time I ever saw him was like in a random Infinity Inc. comic that I picked up, and at the time I didn't even know that was DC. I was like, "What is this?"
But anyway, So Moon Knight, cool stuff. Then What If Season 2. So I watched one episode of What If. I like the premise of the show in that it's just like, what if scenarios. Like, this is an alternate universe where, this happened instead of that, which was always entertaining in the comics.
What if Wolverine was king of the vampires?
Exactly. Just let's go crazy. Let's put them it's simple as Agent Carter is Captain America instead of Steve Rogers, right? That was the premise of the first episode of What If. My problem with it was that I thought the animation was very cheap, and distracting as a result. So I wasn't the biggest fan of it because of that, but I should probably go back to it because I hear some of the stories are quite good. It's just a little slideshowy, if you know what I mean. Very limited in scope, low budget. Hopefully the season 2, they get a little bit more of an animation budget. I Am Groot, which I'm not surprised is a thing. Why don't we take our cute, lovable character and give him his own TV show that children can like, I'm sure. So I'm sure that's going to be really cute. Ironheart, do you know who Ironheart is?
I do not.
Ironheart is the new black female teenager Iron Man. That's
Iron something. Sure, makes sense.
Yeah. So she's like a protege of Tony Stark. She is a pretty new character in terms of what I'm familiar with. She could be 10 years old for all I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that just like I just it's a void for me.
But in terms of comics, new characters that stick A 10-year-old character
Yeah,
is
yeah.
brand new, actually.
Sure.
Because comics are very
Yeah,
tradition
they keep
based.
moving.
Yeah, but they primarily go back to basics.
Oh, sure. Yeah, because you
Uh,
can't alienate, potential readers.
so like, even though Miles Morales is like close to 20 years old at this point,
I
15
know.
years old, he is a relatively new character in terms of comics. Like Jason Todd came back about 15 years ago at this point, but everybody considers Red Hood to be a recent character. It's one of those things. And Secret Invasion, which is, I imagine, going to be a similar to What If, because I can't imagine that's within continuity. Do you know what Secret Invasion was?
Nah, for a second I was thinking Secret Wars, but that's something else.
So Secret Invasion was a large crossover in the Marvel universe where it basically, the invasion of the Body Snatchers happens. And you don't know which characters are.
Oh, Skrulls.
Some of them are Skrulls, and some of them are actual characters. So you don't know which ones are which, though. So it's the old invasion of Body
Yeah,
Snatchers.
that's a clever idea,
storyline.
though. That's like terrifying.
Yeah, and it's great because you don't know who your friends are and who's not. I mean,
It's like the thing. Yeah, the
whatever.
thing. Yeah, like you, the viewer, don't even know if you're rooting for the right person.
But this is interesting because I don't know who the bad guys are going to be, because in the current MCU, the Skrulls are good guys.
Yeah, that's definitely strange.
They have to make them evil at some point because there's too much there to work with. You can make the Kree evil too. I mean, like, everybody who's in space can be a dickbag. That's fine. Because I imagine a lot of powerful, forces in space, if they're dominant at all, are going to be pretty shitty. So, but anyway, in the comics, for anybody who doesn't know, the Kree are good. The Skrulls are evil. And there are some bad Kree, don't get me wrong. There's Ronan's a bad Kree. But for the most part, the Kree are good guys. The original Captain Marvel's a Kree, for instance. And I guess Carol Danvers is a Kree too. Technically. No, she's a human that got raised by Kree.
I don't know. I thought in the comics she was just Kree.
I don't know. In the comics, I think she's human. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But my point is that the Skrulls are good bad guys. They're fun bad guys to watch. They're also like, Super Skrull is an awesome like concept of a bad guy, a bad guy that is given all of the Fantastic Four's powers, and has to fight them.
Yeah,
I mean, that's pretty cool. But yeah, you're not gonna have any of that with them being good. So I don't know how they're gonna handle that Secret Invasion line. But yeah, that's all of them. But there's a lot there. Certainly. So anyway, we're gonna move on to other things that aren't Marvel here, and aren't a comic book discussion. So Lotus, the most iconic villain in Far Cry as a series, is returning. Did you hear about this?
This is such an easy question to answer, but I don't remember if I had heard about it or not. I think I might have.
So, the most recent Far Cry, which is Far Cry 6, is going to have an expansion in it that introduces roguelike elements, which I'm really interested in, because Far Cry has been getting a little stale for me. Like, Far Cry 4 was too much like Far Cry 3 to me, for me to, like, want to play 5. And I heard 5 was very samey too, so I was just like, why am I even bothering? 3 was it, right? So Voss is going to be apparently a part of this roguelike. expansion, but I don't know in what capacity. Does he taunt you? Is he the bad guy? I don't know. He's fucking dead in the game, so I don't know what they're doing to bring him back, or whether he's part of something, or even if he's like a canonical character or whatever. If he's part of the dream sequence, I have no idea. But yeah, I really want Far Cry to return as something really great, because Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon were freaking awesome. They were really, really, really good. 4 had a good bad guy. Pagan Min was awesome as a bad guy, but the actual game itself was too much like Far Cry 3 for me to want to play another game that's just like it again. It was too similar. So, that's where I'm at with that. Moving on, Einen and Strictly Limited Games announced out of nowhere, a brand new Cotton game. Like, after all this other Cotton stuff that's been coming out, we've been talking about Cotton, the cute little girl on Witch Broom that, it's in a shmup, and it was notoriously, a crunchy game that only shmup fans really liked, and was very obscure for a long time, and also hard to get at because it was expensive. Now all of a sudden, every Cotton game is available, and they're making new ones. I don't know what's going on here, Lotus. it's really
what a
odd.
weird series to really focus on all of a sudden.
Yeah, very odd. It's like the rights must have been bought by somebody, and they were like, oh god, we gotta we gotta start mining this. But yeah, Cotton Fantasy is coming out, and Strictly Limited is putting out the physical of it. It looks like, which is interesting because Einen is also a physical publisher. They put out a lot of games through retail channels like Amazon. So I'm wondering if Einen is going to be handling the North American release, or the Strictly Limited is going to be handling the PAL release, or if it's just Strictly Limited. They haven't said. But I'm guessing if they're doing a joint venture and they talked about it and they told you to go to Strictly Limited's website, that it's just going to be a Strictly Limited release. So I guess if you want a physical version of that, you're going to have to go there. Next is Konami delisted a bunch of versions of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3. Something like 12 different versions of that port.
Yeah, from what I've heard, the reason was that they have to renew the rights to the stock footage they used in those games, like the historical
footage. Which is ridiculous.
I don't know if it's stock, but the historical footage.
Yeah.
So, apparently the games will go back up if they get it back, but until then, better get on them quick if you haven't already.
Yeah, I mean, if you have a physical copy of the HD collection, that's the best way to ensure that you're going to be able to play this in the future. I know for goddamn sure that if they fix some of the versions of this, they will only fix some of them. They're not going to fix the Vita version. You got to be kidding me. They're not going to make an update to that version. So if you want to still be able to play this game on the Vita, you got to seek out a physical copy of it. And it's disappointing too that these kinds of things haven't been worked out. Video games are the only media that I know that works like this. It's really stupid.
Yeah, they don't delist movies from streaming services because
that's what I'm trying to
weird
say.
Historical footage. Yeah,
music isn't like that. You still hear music on the radio that's having rights issues. What the fuck is the problem with video games? I don't understand it. I don't get it. Yeah. There are certain TV shows that had a big problem going to streaming or getting on DVD. Muppet Babies, which is actually really funny because the rights issues are all entangled with a company that owns them all now.
Yeah, I was going to say the problem was Star Wars footage, but wait.
They own the Muppets. Disney owns the Muppets and Star Wars now. So yeah, it shouldn't be a problem there. But things like the Wonder Years had a lot of music in it, licensed music in it. Ally McBeal famously had a lot of licensed music in it. Freaks and Geeks did. So like all of those shows were acclaimed shows, but like took a while for them to get on DVD, and when they did, they were expensive because of the rights issues that were going on.
Well, you know what's really funny? This is a tangent, but have you heard of the anime Tiger and Bunny?
Yeah, it was one of the last Gainax shows, right?
Yeah, well, its whole thing is that superheroes are just a thing. It's just understood. But a lot of them, like, they're in it for the fame and the money rather than for being superheroes. So they shill a lot of products. So as part of the show, like, they shill real products. Like, the eye catch, like, going to and from the commercial is a shout out to, like, Pepsi Next. So, like,
wow.
When the show got localized, a lot of the branding was, I forgot if it was either removed or made generic, but that actually takes out a core aspect of the show.
that kind of makes me think of High Score Girl, which has, like, real video game licensed.
Sure.
Like, real video games licensed in it, and would not work at all without cooperation with Capcom in particular, because the entire show revolves around Street Fighter.
Okay.
So, like, specifically Street Fighter, and various versions of it. So, there are other games in the show that, like, they had to get specific license for. They're not, like, generic games, from a bunch of different companies, like Taito and things like that, and Data East. But there's one game in particular that's just, like, blurred the fuck out because they must not have been able to get the rights in one area. It's Sonic Blastman. It's very clearly Sonic Blastman. But they had to blur it out, like, for the brief moment that it's in the show, because they couldn't get the rights or whatever, which is really stupid.
Yeah, you could get Street Fighter 2, but not Sonic Blastman.
Yeah, exactly. Really dumb stuff.
It just makes me think of, like, how much companies have done to, like, shake hands with property rights owners to get, like, all sorts of weird stuff we never thought we'd see again. But no one lives forever. No, that's the toughest one. All right.
Yeah, real funny. We even have, like, Macross just got figured out, right? Like, and we still are having problems with
that wasn't
like
even
Sonic
a problem
Blastman.
getting the rights. That was, well, I guess it kind of was, but that was like our own studios being assholes about their product that doesn't technically exist.
Yeah. Well, that's a
that would be like
mess.
Haim Saban, like, refusing to let us get Metal Dur because it interferes with VR Troopers. It's like, no, the fuck it doesn't. Shut up.
It's not even the same audience.
Yeah, not even close. Jesus.
Yeah. So anyway, I just hate that video games have this problem. They just can never seem to work things out like TV and movies can. I don't know why. Moving on from that, I wanted to mention this because it kind of came out like a couple weeks ago, but I didn't notice it. But Libble Rabble came out on Arcade Archives on Switch. Do you know what Libble Rabble is?
Never heard of it.
So it is the game
by the way, real quick, Vice is not stumbling. It is called Libble Rabble.
No, it is Libble Rabble, and it's even harder to say in Japanese. And it was made by Japanese people. Libble Rabble?
Yeah, it's a mess.
I don't know. But anyway, it was a game that was created by the creator of Pac-Man, where you are controlling two bunnies, and you're kind of threading a piece of thread around like a bunch of pegs on a board. So it's kind of like almost like Kicks. You ever play Kicks or something like Kicks?
That was the video game that was kid tested, mother approved.
You know what I mean? Quicks or Kicks or whatever it's called.
I actually did not know what you mean, but yeah, QIX.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what that game is, but at least I've heard that title.
Well, you've probably at least seen a game that is similar to it. It's a game where you try to control the territory of an area by sectioning it off. While there's something
you could do that on a piece
bouncing
of
in the middle.
notepaper. Yeah, I've seen stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so Libble Rabble is very similar. But
when you said you're controlling two bunnies, I was having Adventures of Cookie and Cream flashbacks.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the hardest FromSoft game.
So you have two joysticks, and you are basically trying to, use the two bunnies to draw like a string around territory with these pegs involved. Basically drawing shapes from above view. If that didn't make sense, but
no, I got you. Yeah, it's just like drawing lines. Like, I control these dots on this piece of paper. You have to go to a different dot.
Exactly. So, he the creator of Pac-Man, calls it his greatest game, his greatest triumph. So,
you might say it kicks ass.
Yeah, he just loves the game. He thinks that he designed that game the best. So I just wanted to mention that. Moving on from this, there's a new SteamWorld game, Lotus.
I'd actually heard about this. Yeah.
So, SteamWorld Headhunter was announced. There was a teaser trailer, but it was a non-gameplay trailer. But it is another Wild West themed SteamWorld title, so it's probably going to take place in the same era as Dig. For people that aren't familiar, the SteamWorld games take place across different eras of the SteamWorld. SteamWorld Dig games were during Wild West kind of era. SteamWorld Quest happens in a medieval era, and SteamWorld Heist takes place during starfaring, star travel era of that particular planet. So this one takes place during the Wild West era, which is probably their most popular. I would say SteamWorld Dig is the most popular. But this is really cool because this is going to be their first 3D game. It's going to be a third-person action title. So I'm excited for it because they're going to be doing something entirely new. Every SteamWorld game is good, really good, and they are different genres and different styles, and I still always really like them. They're all really fun. I haven't played Quest yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like that too. I liked Heist a lot more than I thought it would. It was really good, and I was not expecting to like it. So I'm willing to definitely put in the time to play Headhunter, whatever happens in this. And next couple are your items.
Why, yes. Guilty Gear Strive has a new character coming out, Happy Chaos. He's a demon-looking guy who just seems to be here to have fun, and he fights with guns. So it kind of sort of makes me think of Noel Vermillion from BlazBlue. Like, I don't think he could shoot you from across the screen necessarily, but it's like a Guilty Gear guy with guns, so that's just kind of entertaining to see. Somewhat similar, well, not similarly in the type of character, but King of Fighters 15 had a new character reveal, who is a new character, Dolores, and she appears to at least have an interaction with Kukri, the guy wearing the hood with the sand powers. It seems that she has some sort of like mud powers, like she could sink into the ground and come out elsewhere, trap you in mud and harden it, and do like mud attacks like Sekko from JoJo. So she looks entertaining. And she's like super, just like deliberate in her mannerisms and just like acts like super classy. She seems fun.
Dun 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 dun. Dolores.
I don't get it. I do get it.
The Super Mario World over theme.
Yeah, the thing that I'm literally the only one who knows what it is because it's fucking YTMND.
It's really funny though. Yeah, and I was referencing Seinfeld if anybody doesn't know.
Well, you were referencing Seinfeld and like the Super Mario World overworld theme. I don't know how well that translated because like what a weird thing to pick up on.
But yeah, it was quite awesome back in the day. I laughed at that quite a bit.
Yeah, back like fucking 15 years ago. Jesus. Also, Grand Theft Auto Definitive Trilogy appears not to be definitive because it's got all sorts of graphical problems.
It's awful.
I think it's got operating problems. It was pulled on PC because like the launcher didn't work.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, by the way, fuck launchers and fuck you too. Yeah. Remember when games were just when the game was the launcher, you double click the game's icon and then the game launched. You didn't need a fucking launcher. Like, it's obnoxious enough that Steam is a launcher, but at least it works.
Yeah.
So this the user scores are just blasting this game. I mean, these games are all classics. Like San Andreas is like an era-defining game, but these are just bad versions.
Yeah, it's really a shame too, because if this is your first exposure to these games, it's not a good way to experience them. Like, especially the rain. I hear the rain.
Yeah,
I
saw a brief clip of
awful.
rain where it's too bright, and it's just like hard to see if it's raining hard because it's just all over the screen.
It's really a shame. Vice City was for me a one of those games that just defined the
that's
era.
another, like, that followed San Andreas, but like both of those games are absolutely iconic.
It preceded it, actually.
Oh, did
San
it really?
Andreas.
It preceded
San Andreas is the third game. So it goes GTA 3.
Yeah, 3 was
Vice
the first.
City,
Yeah.
Vice City, and then San Andreas.
Oh, for some reason I thought San Andreas came first. But even so, both of those are still, all three of those are iconic, because 3 was the transition into 3D. Vice City evolved that. Your character was more of a character than Mr. Silent Nod guy. And
Correct.
San Andreas, you talked all the time, you could change your appearance, you could gain territory, it was a gang thing. Like, it was brilliant.
You also had access to several cities rather than just one.
Yes.
Which was really, it was basically like a whole state. You had like access to like a truncated version of California. Which was pretty cool. And also it just had the menace to society, like New Jack City kind of vibe from the early 90s, like films of that era. Just like really cool black cinema kind of stuff that was going on in the early 90s. So it's a shame that they're being represented so poorly, but there is a hot coffee code.
No way. No way.
They referenced hot coffee.
I was gonna say, well, get ready to go back into the AO section.
I honestly don't. Given the how the crudeness of it, I don't think it would get into the.
Yeah,
AO
honestly, we have
territory.
mainstream games with at least upper nudity, so I don't like the hot coffee stuff is honestly tame in comparison.
Yeah. So I very much doubt that even if stuff was included, that like
it would be like if we had the nude code on Tomb Raider. It's like it just wouldn't hit the same today with its PS1-esque graphics.
It's like when Fahrenheit got re-released, like they're like, we're just gonna
it's on Gaga, whatever.
Yeah, we're just gonna re-release it. It's not gonna get an AO rating. We know it's not going to. So yeah. This was pretty interesting.
This is bizarre. Yeah, Xbox has a crossover deal with Gucci. So if you want to see a literal Gucci Xbox, what is it? The new one, Series S, I think it is.
Series X.
There's X. Okay, there's 100 of them available. Grab them while you can. They're only $10,000 a piece.
Yeah, and they come with really expensive controllers too. I don't know why you would be getting this, because
in my opinion, by the way, the aesthetic doesn't even look good to me.
Yeah, that's number one. But number two, the reason why you wear something like high fashion is so that it can be seen. You
that's
don't wear
the whole
it
thing.
in your house.
You buy Gucci so you can wear it and show the world, look at how rich I am. I have Gucci stuff.
Yeah, so the best you're going to do is put this on stream and show people, or have people come over your house and be like,
you take a picture of it and upload it. I actually got one of these. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Gucci was cooler when it crossed over with JoJo. At least that was fucking fashion.
I don't think people realize that like getting a really expensive video game thing like that is really stupid, because like video game systems get outdated and pretty quickly.
Yeah, but Gucci is forever. Forever.
Stupid.
I'm gonna get all 100 so I can say that I have them. I'm gonna get the full Gucci set.
Yeah.
It'll
I
only
don't get
cost me literally $1 million.
Jesus Christ. So this is interesting. Speaking about streaming,
Yeah.
the Switch has very, very few media applications outside of video games. They have the YouTube and Hulu apps and Crunchyroll, and I think that's it. They don't even have Netflix. Which
I was going to say, though, we had Netflix.
Well, actually, you can actually probably point to Nintendo being the reason of the success of Netflix. Like the catalyst of the success of Netflix, because more people were watching Netflix on their original Wiis than any other device. And I think at some point they were more Wiis were being used to watch Netflix than actually playing games. So like that was a pivotal time for Netflix. So it's really interesting that it's not on Switch at all, which is really kind of goofy. They must have a bad relationship. That's the only thing I can think of. I know Netflix used to be on the 3DS. That was the last time it was on a Nintendo system.
I think what happened was Nintendo saw Scott Pilgrim on Netflix and they sent them a C and D. Netflix was like, "Fuck you."
Oh God, but yeah, Twitch is now on Switch. I don't use Twitch, but I could see that being, especially for kids who watch a lot of Twitch streamers, like a really convenient way for them to watch that. So I think that's pretty cool. I wish there were more like reading apps, like the Nook kind of stuff, on the Switch, because I think that would be a good home for
the portable,
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the Switch is a Nook. Yeah, that's a clever idea.
Like I subscribe to DC Infinite, which is really underrated, by the way. Like for $5 a month, you would have the entire access to almost the entire catalog of DC. Like, it's insane. You can just get lost in there. And so like I would really love this if that was on Switch, and it isn't. So I think they're really missing the boat on that kind of the services on the Switch for some reason. Moving on from that, these are yours too.
Yeah, so Vice had mentioned at the beginning of the podcast NFT shenanigans. Discord, like the heads of Discord were considering getting into NFT stuff, and they were like teasing it, like, "Ooh, what's happening here?" And like every single Discord user was like, "This is stupid, you suck, don't throw away 6 years of goodwill with shit." And they eventually backed off on it. They didn't say they're definitively not doing it, but they were like, "Oh, well, we'll workshop this," which is a weak sauce fucking answer, but at least they backed off for now. And also, for the upcoming Ghostbusters movie, the Ghostbusters Twitter account advertised some kind of, like, the cute little Marshmallow Man, like, NFT. So now a lot of people are like, well, fuck you, Ghostbusters. Like, people are starting to realize that NFTs are embarrassing at best and a scam at worst. So, like, these companies gotta stop pulling this embarrassing shit.
Yeah, nobody wants to own a digital license to a specific version of a JPEG.
You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
Something you brought up on a much older podcast. In the 2000s, like when we were in college, and when like back when we would emulate games because we were still kids, sure, and we didn't have every system. But back then, emulated games had like a digital signature on them, like not unique copies of each download or anything, but like sure, like I was the one who compiled this game and put up the ISO online. Like, I deserve credit for this. It's like, nobody cares.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really, really, really dumb. I can't think of anything that is a bigger waste of time and energy.
And if you want to lose goodwill, then there's your chance. Just be a scamming jackass who people just buy NFTs from, just not so they can have them, like you said, but like so they can artificially increase the value and hopefully run away and be millionaires, which won't happen because now NFTs are mainstream knowledge. It's just like crypto. If you get into it now, you're like a year too late.
I think that NFTs can be used in conjunction with something like to make a unique character or something like that in a game. I think that is interesting, but
Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard the concept addressed. Like, it's like,
but
getting a
as
really
it
rare
stands right now,
skin in, like, Call of Duty, like a 1 in a million, like, skin for your gun. That's sort of, like, related to NFT, because it's a digital thing that, like, you're proud that you have, but doesn't actually mean anything. So, like, it's been done just, like, kind of. So that there's a way you could maybe do something with it, but it seems it would still be probably pretty, like, niche.
I also think it's really stupid. Like, none of that stuff is going to be meaningful to anybody. Like, it's not like it's not like having the physical presence of something. It's not the same thing. And try as it might, digital.
Well, it's not even having the digital presence of something either. Like, I mean, everybody jokes about how I can just right click and download your image. Now I had the image, and they're like, but you don't have this URL of the image. It's just a different image on your computer that looks the same. And it's like, yeah, but that's all I want, though. I don't care about your fucking URL.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't even own the image. You own, like, the location it comes from, which nobody cares about.
It's really dumb. I think it. I don't know. I think it could be brought into a different concept maybe later. Like I said, like being a specific character in a specific game, with certain attributes and things like that. Like some uniqueness. But as it stands right now, it's just JPEGs of really terrible art for the most part.
Yeah, that's the funny part. Is it's like it's art nobody wants.
Yeah, it's really stupid. And this is really cool. So
yes, this has been like, it's been like 20 years or something since this came out.
So Sakura Taisen, or Sakura Wars, only really recently has had some traction in the West. There was a game that came out on the PS2 and
PS2 and Wii. Yeah, it was
and
Farewell My Love.
Yeah, and then recently on the PS4, and that was pretty like a cult hit.
Yeah, it was shocking that even that made it over. Like, they like tentatively tried Sakura Wars with the US twice.
Yeah. And I think that one did well enough to get some traction for the series.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: it is one of the most popular like RPG series like of all time in Japan.
Yeah, there's a lot of entries in that series that the US just has never experienced.
Especially during the Saturn era, which is when it started. We never got the original. We recently got a fan translation of the Saturn game, so you can thankfully play it. And it's basically like it's an RPG mixed with a visual novel. So like it does have dating elements.
There's robot fighting, but there's also dating. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a lot better than most games of its type. It's probably on par with the dating stuff with Tokimeki Memorial, which is considered to be like a high tier like dating visual novel, right? I'm not into any of that because I'm not into wooing digital waifus, but
Doki Doki Literature Club was pretty good.
I mean, yeah, but that's a subversion of the
genre.
Yeah,
that was the whole point was that this is a version.
Yeah, I mean, I have appreciation for anything that's a subversion of any genre. And
yet you won't watch Madoka Magica.
I would watch that, but like, also I'm not gonna get as much appreciation out of it as somebody who likes that.
Sure.
But anyway, Getting to the point here, probably the second game in the series that has been fan translated. So there was a Game Boy game version of Sakura Taisen, Sakura Wars. I think it's a unique entry in terms of story. And it finally got a fan translation. It's a Game Boy Color game. What's really interesting about this fan translation is that they found a lot of content that never got actually enabled. So I don't know if you heard about this, Lotus, but they found like voice clips in the game
Oh, that's cool.
that were not enabled. So they enabled them and also cleaned them up, and they sound good now. The fans made this game a definitive version of this game. It wasn't just a fan translation. They made it better. They also found like a bunch of references to like a TV tuner for the Game Boy Color that never came out as well. Like just like really cool stuff having to do with the development of the game. Got a bunch of light shed on it. So really cool stuff. It's definitely something that attracts me to that specific version of that game, because that's really, really cool. And I just have a couple bummer announcements here. Rest in peace, Winter the Dolphin. Do you know who Winter the Dolphin is?
I'm afraid not.
So, Winter the Dolphin was the star and subject of a movie called Dolphin Tale. When we were probably teenagers, it's a pretty heartwarming, like Disney-esque or actual Disney movie about a dolphin that got injured as a what are they're called I guess it's the same as horses. It's like a colt.
I would have just said baby dolphin. I have no idea.
As a baby dolphin. Got injured as a baby dolphin during a shark attack. And humans found the dolphin tailless, but nursed it back to health, and were able to keep it in captivity and have it live. So they basically brought it to a marine. It's a marine sanctuary where they nurse injured animals back to health. It's actually in Florida, in the Tampa area, and I actually visited and saw Winter in person. And she did tricks and did all kinds of cool stuff. They basically what they did was they made a prosthetic tail for her so she could get exercise.
Oh, that's cool.
In the movie, they said they made it more dramatic and said that she would die without a tail, which is actually not the case. She just couldn't exercise without one because she couldn't swim. So swim very well. So they made a prosthetic tail for her so she could actually swim and get some exercise during the day. And then they would take it off of her, because it's also it's any person who's had any prosthesis can tell you that those things are uncomfortable. So, she didn't have it on 24/7, but it was a fun, heartwarming kind of kids movie, and she was in the actual movie, and it's really a shame. But you can also look at it this way, that like that dolphin would have died long ago, like over 10 years ago, if it hadn't been for like humans helping her out and doing some amazing work there to continue to work with her and keep her healthy. So I think it's a triumph, but also sad to see her go, kind of thing. And then also rest in peace, Dean Stockwell. Do you know Dean Stockwell?
Yeah, I know he's been in a lot of stuff, but the main thing I'm aware of him being in was Quantum Leap.
Yeah, that's probably the thing that most listeners that would listen to the show would know him from. Apparently, he was in a lot of different TV shows and things from back in the day. But
yeah, he's been around. Like he was 85.
Yeah. So he was also considered to be like one of the good guys of Hollywood. Like he was considered to be a really nice person. He was basically Scott Bakula's partner in Quantum Leap, that was that would help him out from the present day, which is in that show, the present day is the future. But the premise of the show, I should go back and say, is that there is a scientist from the future discovers time travel, and he but it's not what you think. It allows you to go into the past, but you need to take the consciousness of somebody who existed in the past.
Yeah, it's
and
almost
switch
like
spots with them.
It's almost like being John Malkovich, where you just like show up in his body and you're like, oh, this is happening.
Yeah, and this includes, like, men, women, children, like, the whole
Yeah,
bit.
the difference in Quantum Leap is that you actually control that person. So, like, people are talking to you as though you are that person, but you're not.
Yeah, and so they can't perceive that he's him. He has to figure out what is going on, who he is, and how these people relate to him that are around him in every situation.
It's terrifying.
And then he's stuck doing this. The only way that he can progress is by solving an issue in their life and correcting the timeline. And then he gets to move on and do it again next week. Where he says "oh boy" comically at the end of every episode.
Yeah.
But it was revealed at the end of the series, of course, that that basically a character that was the stand-in for God said, "No, you're never getting home."
Yeah, wasn't that like a stupid like text reveal, like Sam Beckett never went home or something like that?
Well, there's a little bit more to it than that, but you're right. The very last thing that was shown, but the stand-in for God basically told him that you're doing too important of a job to be able to go home. You are doing what is needed for the timeline. So it's like a really bittersweet kind of, because he's doing good work. He's being a good guy. He's doing what is needed, which is fulfilling, because he brings enrichment to a lot of the characters in the show. But he personally never gets to see his family ever again.
Yeah.
He doesn't get to accomplish his own goals. And Dean Stockwell was his partner, who would basically, he was kind of the comic relief. But he would also give him information on where to go or what to do, and a lot of times just help him out and give him information. He was the only person who could see him, so he would talk to him as if he were a ghost, and people would think he was crazy in whatever part of the world he was in at the time. But yeah, it was a really fun show. It was very popular. It was a popular syndicated show, and had a ton of episodes, like a lot of them. But yeah, it's sad to see him go because he was a charismatic actor and really a lot of fun. And the last thing I just wanted to mention real quick before we wrap things up, I know we're very long in the tooth here, but I wanted to mention that I saw the recently released Dune movie. And I have to say, it is fantastic. I really, really, really loved it.
Yeah, but it didn't have Sting, though.
That movie, I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be.
Well, no, it's just weird.
Yeah, it's just weird.
It's fucking David Lynch. What did you think was going to happen?
It's just weird, but it's not inaccurate either, though. Like if you watch it, you're like, no, I mean, it's all here. It's just you don't understand why it's happening.
Yeah.
Because David Lynch is not good on, not very keen on explaining things. He likes showing things, but in a world like Dune, you need some explanation as to what's going on, because it's. I mean, why is everybody fighting with swords in the future? That kind of thing. Like there's an actual reason for that. It's because everybody has personal shields that would block bullets, so swords are a better option to fight.
Yeah, they did something like that in Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Whenever somebody would board a spaceship, like an enemy spaceship, everybody would instantly deploy this gas that would scatter like the energy beams. So it's like everybody just goes in advance knowing that guns are useless, and they just take out like old medieval like battle axes and shit, and you're like, what? But it works.
Yeah, because like lasers don't work.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying? Yeah, because lasers don't work.
They just like spray the entire hallways with like no guns allowed gas.
So a lot of times, modern movies have especially big budget ones, have a problem in that their pacing is too quick. They don't let you drink in the atmosphere of what's happening. They don't let you just sit there and take it all in. And Dune, as a book, is just something that lends itself to that. Huge landscapes, like really big, weird set pieces from the future. Lots of stuff that's very odd. So a lot of stuff that's very creepy and disheartening, and also really terrifying and terrible. All that stuff is wrapped up in the movie and done extremely well. It is a movie that conveys that the world, and by the world I mean like the world created by the book, not by the planet that they're on. The world created by the book is very inhospitable. There's very little love. Everything's very cold, and it starts off like that, and then eventually gets to be smaller and more intimate, and it definitely benefits from that. So I really, really love what they did with it, and I was like, why do I like this so much? Like, who the hell directed this? And I found out it's the same director as Blade Runner 2045 or 2049, the second one, whatever.
Yeah, I think it was 49.
Yeah, 2049, which I loved, by the way. And that was surprising, considering like how much the original Blade Runner is one of my favorite movies of all time, and so like I'm like rolling my eyes at the concept of there being a sequel, and that movie was really good. I really enjoyed it, and I didn't expect that. So the director also made Sicario and Ascension. Like also really, really good movies. Like I went back through his filmography. I was like, wow, this is a good movie. This is a good movie. Like all that stuff. So I was really, really pleased with it. It is not a movie that moves too quickly. They fit half the book into the movie, which was the right decision, because the entire first half of Dune, the book, is world building, and if you skip that, it means nothing. Like, it literally means nothing. So, it was really, really good, and I can't wait to see the second half if that ever comes to fruition. So, just wanted to throw that out there. Anything else for the good of the order there, Lotus Prince?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. That is the show for this week. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and Soundcloud pages. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. Helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. We will be talking about the wonderful, powerful Batman and Robin.
Damn right.
Finally, you can friend me. Not any good version of what could be Batman and Robin. No, the bad one. Finally, you can friend me as Vise the Bold on Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, Twitter, whatever else. Just give me a DM and let me know who you are.
And you could follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon accounts, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Okay, that's just Prime. We will talk to you on Thursday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye-bye.